Hello, I'm Ben Millard, and I'm with a special guest today, Cory Fung. And today I'm going to be doing my video presentation on my website, Eyes on Nepal. Okay, so first of all, Cory had some questions after reviewing the website.
What was the most interesting thing you learned about Nepal?
Well, when we first were adopted into our countries, I really didn't know anything about Nepal. The only thing I knew was I thought of Himalayas, I thought of lots of snow and cold, but I learned that it's a lot more than that. We learned about some interesting things with their culture. For example, watched a video about them sticking a needle through their tongues. They have some other interesting things with their culture. So I learned a lot about that. Just how I think that's the most interesting thing I learned was that there's a lot more to Nepal than I originally thought, and they have a lot of interesting traditions with their culture.
As a developing country going forward, what are some things that Nepal can improve upon?
Something in fact in my website, we had to develop or discover and identify and address some problems happening in our country. Country of Nepal, I noticed some problems with maternal health, how they can improve there. Like I said before, tradition, culture still holds sway quite a bit in Nepal, so the women, they still tend to follow some traditions. For example, they will, instead of going and seeing a doctor regularly while they're pregnant, they won't because if they think it's bad luck. So they have some interesting things with the culture that are kind of impeding their progress.
What are some good things you've seen from Nepal as a country?
I've seen in another with the goals on education in Nepal, noticed that they have done pretty well. They've gotten they're up to about, in 2013 they had 95% students enrolled in primary education with the goal of 100%. They've also done pretty well with meeting their goals on cutting extreme poverty and hunger. They've actually, in 2013, they'd already reached their 2015 goals, as we'll see later. So that's what they're doing pretty well.
Cool.
All right, so let's get into it. So I'm going to go through the 8 Millennium Development Goals. Here we have a little slideshow. And we're going to learn a little about more. What are these 8 Millennium Development Goals? First of all, they were developed by the United Nations in order to help developing countries, third world countries such as Nepal. There's actually a lot of countries in the world that are still have a lot of problems to get over. So it's basically to help them with problems, like I said, with their poverty, with hunger, with education, with gender inequality. Surprising how I think us people in the United States, we have a lot of gender equality. We don't realize how the disparity, how much inequality there is in the world actually still. And I think it's personally, I think it's to kind of narrow that disparity, the gap they have, because I think there's about 2 billion people in the world still living on less than $1 a day, and there's 1 billion people living on more than $80 a day. I think something we can do is, as an entire world, try to narrow that gap. If you have any questions, any comments, you can feel free, Cory.
Okay.
So the first goal we have here is to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. So the goal is to have, between 1990 and 2015, the proportion of people who are living on less than $1 a day. And there's a couple other goals that go with that. Eradicate, have people suffering from extreme hunger. And as I said, Nepal is doing pretty well. They actually are pretty close to reaching, in 2013, they've actually already reached their goal with having the percentage of the population living on less than $1 a day. They'd also already close to their goal in the percentage of the population below the national poverty line. So they're doing pretty good. They got a pretty good chance of reaching those goals. So Nepal's doing pretty well. So this was a slideshow comparing Nepal and another developing country, Madagascar. So we're going to focus more on the Nepal side. With the second goal, achieving universal primary education. They wanted to have all children, primary universal education for all children in primary schooling age. And Nepal is doing pretty well. They got, like I said, they got it up to about 95% in 2013, so they've got a pretty good chance reaching that goal. Probably 100% exactly will be tough, but reaching that 98, 99%, they're gonna have a pretty good chance of that. Promoting gender equality, empowering women. So we're trying to, eliminate that disparity between men and women, especially in education. Something we don't really realize in other developing countries. There's a big gap between boys and girls actually getting their education.
For gender inequality, does it occur because of cultural reasons or other reasons?
Yeah, so for example, in Nepal, something I found out while researching is they have a lot of different social classes because of religion, because of other reasons, and these social classes are kind of discriminated against. For the people in the lowest social class won't get as good as education, and the women in that social class even more. So a lot of it has to do with culture, religion, these things, tradition. Just something that I said, tradition can sometimes impede the progress of these nations. So Nepal, in the world, the gender inequality index not doing as well as they could be. So this is one thing that Nepal needs to keep working on. Reducing child mortality. So the goal is to reduce by 2/3 the children under 5 who are dying. And Nepal has actually already reached that goal. By 2011 they had reached that goal, but obviously we're still pressing forward to keep getting better each year.
Before we met in person, like a couple days.
Sorry. Improve maternal healing. So this was one
we just started talking,
section that I already talked about.
Okay.
So a goal with this is to have all women universal access to maternal or reproductive health. And Nepal is one thing that Nepal's still struggling. They still only have 58% of women that are receiving prenatal care. So this is one area where Nepal needs to continue to improve on.
That's like really close.
And then the goal to combat diseases such as HIV/AIDS, malaria. The goals are really to halt and even reverse the spread of these diseases. So I like that this goal is not just have the number or something. It's completely halt and reverse the trend. So that's a really good goal to have. And so Nepal, interestingly enough, their percentage they spent, the percentage of their GDP that they spent on healthcare, on health, has actually gone down. So that's another area that Nepal could work on to help Nepal continue to develop. To ensure environmental sustainability, so this is things like have clean water access, sanitation facilities.
Yeah, she said she's.
And so Nepal, in this area, they've actually improved quite a bit. They're 89% of the total, including the urban and rural communities, have improved drinking water sources. Sanitation facility, only 31% has improved the whole population, so that's another area they can keep working on. For the drinking water source, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good percentage.
That's awesome.
Global partnership for development. So this is increasing trade between nations, helping Nepal just have a better relationship with other nations, keep their economy going good, increase trade within the nation, and foreign trade, things like that. And especially number 2 is to help landlocked countries. For example, Nepal is kind of a landlocked country. They've got the mountain range up top. And pretty much the only country they have a lot of contact with is India. So this is one area. Something I noticed that Nepal had a problem there, being kind of landlocked. How to get over that. One thing that was really good, in 2004, they reached an important milestone, joining the World Trade Organization, which has helped Nepal to do better with this goal. Okay.
So out of all these goals, what do you think is the most important
most important?
Yeah.
I think that something we've learned. Oh,
The 11th.
is this still going?
I think we're gonna leave the 20th.
I don't know.
Hey, Walter. Walter, come here.
First on Monday for school.
Is this still going? Do you think? Okay. We had some technical difficulties. It logged out for a second, but we got the password and we're going good. Okay, we're going good. Okay, I think education, something that I've learned. I think before I kind of thought, we just gotta get them their food, get them their water. But education, something that we learned throughout the semester in this class, how important education is. To not just, it's kind of the difference between giving someone a fish or teaching them how to fish. If we can get education, get good education for all the students, all the children, men and women, that's how we could really eliminate the problem. Get rid of it completely. Within, it would take a while, it would take patience, but education is really important. Okay. So with the goals, I think it's a good number of goals. I think we have too many goals, it just becomes unrealistic, too much things, impossible. Too few goals, and not enough is happening. So I think the number of 8 is a pretty good number of goals to have. One thing about the goals I was thinking to maybe add to one of them, like the poverty, or maybe create another one. I have 9 goals. Something about with finance, teaching them to manage their finances, because I think there's a lot of people, like a stat we learned is that a lot of people that waste, 20% of their income on drugs, alcohol, things that they don't need, pop. So if we could teach people in these developing countries how to spend their money wisely, that could solve a lot of these problems. So that could be one of the goals, maybe, just teaching them how to manage what they have. Even if it's not very much, if you manage it wisely, you can still have enough for a good life. So what I think is really needed in Nepal is, I think, for example, I've got a tab here about maternal health. Like I said before, early marriages, having frequent births because of the tradition, has made their maternal health not as good as it could be. A lot of women, a lot of children dying, a lot of women not being able to survive. That number was pretty low of women receiving prenatal care, 56%, I believe. Some of it because of tradition. So one thing I think we could address to help Nepal is get in there and teach them about the consequences of what they're doing. Teach them about the importance of prenatal care. Some teach them, send qualified doctors in there, or teach the local doctors. I think they would have a better time trusting their own local doctors. Teach them how to really help. Get instead of building huge hospitals, which would be very expensive, build smaller hospitals to help get to those rural areas to really help everybody out. That would help with overall health and with the things like the mortality rate, the maternal health. That's something that Nepal could use some help in. So that's how they could improve also with the. And then for Nepal, for the future, I think if they continue to improve like they are with the education, it's laying a solid base of education, teaching the children what they need to know. That's what's going to help Nepal to keep moving forward in the future. So I think if they can keep doing well with education, they're going to continue to progress. They're going to have a bright future. If not, they're going to keep struggling. Also with the World Trade Organization, getting known globally, getting their economy going. If they keep going with that, that'll help them to keep having a bright future. Have any other questions, Cory?
No.
Okay. So. Also, I'll show you real quick here. We've got the C maps. So these are really cool. So we would watch videos about developing world topics and make little write down some quick facts about them and put in our own perspectives. I don't know if you got a chance to look through that, but you can look through that. But there's quite a bit of information there that teaches us quite a bit. And I'm about out of time. But it's been great learning about Nepal. Teaching about Nepal to my friend Cory here, and that's signing out with my video. Thanks. See you later.